Stick around at the end of the video to find out how you can win a free copy of Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon. More about that at the end of the video. Making a cutscene is hard. That's not true. Making a good cutscene is hard. It's easy to throw assets on the screen and call it a day, but that's hardly interesting to watch. I found this out the hard way while working on the Flash game recently and ended up spending hours more than expected on a single scene. And this really stood out to me, which is why I want to focus on it for today's video, because the cutscene I'm referring to seemed like an easy slam dunk. But like I said, I found out quickly there is no such thing as an easy day with game development and spent hours trying to make this cutscene work. So let's get into it and talk about what makes a cutscene so difficult to get right and why this cutscene in particular was so simple in theory but so complex in execution. But before we talk about the game development cutscenes, you know I gotta push those Wondershare products. I know I've mentioned it in a previous video, but Wondershare Filmora is an amazing video editing tool and product that I can stand behind as something that I actually use for my videos, like the one you're currently watching. Its easy to use interface makes editing videos a breeze and comes fully loaded with a library of free and premium sounds and visual effects to use in your projects. But if video editing isn't your style, not to worry, because Wondershare has other products you might find useful, like Wondershare Data Recovery, which is a perfect tool to have in a worst case scenario of data loss for your PC. Capable of recovering data from corrupted or damaged hard drives, or even more nightmarish a scenario, recovering data after a virus or unexpected power outage, Wondershare Data Recovery can help you out. If you're interested in trying out any Wondershare products for yourself, check out the affiliate links in the video's description down below. Now back to the video. So what is it about a cutscene that's so inherently difficult, in my opinion at least, to get right? Well, part of it comes from a character's movements and how robotic animations can feel throughout the scene. I ran into an issue with my work on a cutscene recently where something as simple as a character moving their head was working as intended until the camera was added for more cinematic angles. And this is where I realized so many animations that work from a third-person perspective look so janky when trying to use them in more cinematic ways. Up close and in focus, a lot of character movements become lifeless and unnatural looking to me, despite their effectiveness from a distance, and this is because many game animations are meant to be loopable and easy to transition between for the sake of gameplay, where the player can switch between actions randomly and constantly. But for cutscenes, the player isn't in control, and the characters can't run through motions like normal. This is why nearly every video game uses cutscene-specific animations, even if the character is doing something they already had an animation for. While trying to do a simple animation for a cutscene in the Flash game, I thought I could save myself some time and reuse some animations just to make the easy progress. Shame on me for trying to take a shortcut, I guess, because after doing a test render of the scene, I found myself rewatching it repeatedly, trying to figure out why I hated it. I knew something seemed off despite it being relatively simple of a shot, but for the life of me I could not figure out why. The scene is meant to be a quick reminder of where the game is intended to take place in the Flash series, showing us Barry standing out meditating in the Speed Force after the finale of Season 3. So you'd think having Barry standing in a swirly blue Speed Force would be easy, right? I mean, after all, he is just standing there alone with some minor head movement towards the end. But no, having Barry just stand there was extremely difficult for me to get right. When I first animated the scene, I put a normal idle animation in there and put him in the scene, but it looked so off to me. Barry is meant to be in the Speed Force for a distorted amount of time, meditating in an infinite void. Having him just stand there normal with a looping idle animation didn't fit the scene right. I ended up taking it out and swapping it for a more stationary position that felt more natural for the slow-moving camera and the tone of the shot once the sound effects and voice acting were added. I also struggled with how to frame the shot overall. I tested a variety of camera angles to no avail before I took my inspiration for the final shot from an actual episode of the CW Flash series. It made sense for me to mimic the film style of the show since the game is a fan rewrite of sorts for Season 4, and the game's story is formatted as pseudo-episodes. So using the scene of Cisco vibing into the Speed Force to find Barry as a reference, I matched the position and angle of the camera as best I could for the wide shot. With the camera angles figured out and the animation being added, the cutscene was finished, right? That's true, except for the fact that it isn't at all. I still had to add the voice acting and stuff for the scene. Now, normally I wouldn't show this much detail for any particular scene of the game since I want most of it to be a fun surprise for the community. But I wanted to show this scene as much as I am because it's not spoiling anything for the actual game. Also because my voice actors are kick-ass and I wanted to give them a proper shout out since we haven't gotten to hear a lot from them in any of the developer vlogs before.
Breathe. Breathe. Listen to my voice.
You defeated an unstoppable demon with the face of death. You conquered everything that Savitar threw your way.
Feel the air circling around you.
This would mean we're living in a causal nexus.
Feel the earth beneath your feet, pushing you forward, lifting you up.
The timeline on this earth has suffered enough.
And the lightning. Feel the lightning.
And you come here before me now to do what?
Feel the electricity pumping through your veins.
You did this to me, Barry. Look at me.
Crackling through you, traveling to every nerve in your body like a shock.
You destroy everything you touch, Barry Allen.
You're no longer you now. We're a part of something greater. We're a part of a speed force. It's ours, now and forever.
I'll have to include more from them moving forward because the effort they all have put towards my humble fan project is honestly incredible and they deserve to be featured more often for it. For this scene in particular, some of the voice actors gave us a variety of lines from various points in time to play over Barry's meditation, the Speed Force. Some lines you may recognize from the show, while others you may not. And if you're curious whether or not any of the lines are possible references to something that happens in the game, you're just going to have to continue being curious. I'm kidding, I'll tell you. No, I won't. But with the voice work handed over to me, I added it to the scene, which presented an entirely different challenge: the pacing. Initially, I only rendered the shot for maybe 10 seconds, not long at all. But with the voice work we had for the scene, that had to be extended by a lot to allow the voice work to play over the background without rushing through it or cutting off lines by accident. While making the scene longer is easy and just requires you drag out the sequencer timeline a bit, the issue I ran into was the visuals for the shot being dragged out. With something as simple as Barry standing in the Speed Force having the shot drawn out extensively made the scene less interesting the longer it was on screen. Thankfully, we had a solution for this. Adding a slow punch in for the camera gave us a nice build up to the scene as we slowly approach Barry before the camera switches to another close-up shot that shows off some nice dramatic framing for the character. But no build up in a shot like this is complete without proper music, so we turn the scene over to our music maniac Chris for him to give us a proper score of the scene. And when Chris delivers, he delivers. What we ended up with was a beautiful rendition of CW Flash's main theme with Chris's own spin on it. Now, since I want to live without fear of Warner Brothers ignoring what fair use is and killing this video and myself, I can't play Chris's song here since it would obviously incorporate the iconic Flash tune, which would prompt Warner Brothers to execute me on sight for including it, probably with a vibrating hand to the chest. So if you want to hear what that sounds like, I'll be uploading the final draft of the cutscene in full over on Patreon. Check out the link in the description if you're interested in checking it out. But with the music added, we have a finished cutscene. It only took me way longer than I expected and was a significant undertaking that involved the work of several people, from the initial scene setup to the voice work to the music score. And this is why I said making a good cutscene is really hard, because it involves so many different aspects of game design to get right, and even then, it still takes a ton of tweaking to really make it perfect. I was adjusting animation curves over and over just to get Barry's head movement to feel more natural and fluid. Honestly, those animation curves could be a development vlog all on their own with how often you use them in game development, but I'll have to cover those in another video. Thanks for watching. That's all for this video, but before we go, I wanted to give another shout out to the voice actors and to our music guy Chris. The work they do is incredible, and I appreciate the effort they put towards the project, since I'm neither capable of voicing these characters myself or even able to understand how music works, so I'm always appreciative of the work they do and wanted to make sure they got the recognition they deserve. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one. Go play a video game or something. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Now let me ask, do you like free games? Of course you do. Comment "Give me Tainted Grail" on this video to be entered for a chance to win a free copy of Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon, the amazing RPG developed by Awaken Realms. Only 2 winners will be chosen, and you have 48 hours after this video goes public before a winner is picked. Good luck and have fun.